Hey, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Channel. I'm Darren, of course, but today we got no cooking going on, no sous vide, no barbecue. Today we're going to talk about the Harvest Right freeze dryer. That's right, we're going to do some freeze drying. I'm going to go over the Harvest Right freeze dryer, about the only home freeze dryer that's available out there. I'll be right back.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
All right, guys, that's right. You heard me right. Freeze dryer, home freeze dryer from Harvest Right. I've actually been curious about these for a long time now, and I finally decided to go ahead and pull the trigger just to go over it and do some stuff with this thing. I've been a part of some of the freeze dryer groups on Facebook for a while, and actually I have a pretty strong following on a vacuum sealer group that I have that deals with just food preservation. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and buy the Harvest Right for myself. This here is the medium version. They have three sizes that are the home versions of freeze dryers. They have a small, which is 3 trays. They have a medium, which this is, that has 4 trays. And then they have a large, which is 5 trays. And with each size, the actual size of the trays go up. So like with this is the 4 tray medium. So it's got a pretty decent sized tray here. The small would be just a little bit smaller in size as far as the tray, and it only has 3 trays. And then the large has an extra tray, but they're also a little bit larger to scale as well. So you get more than just an extra tray when you step up in size. You get actually a bigger tray as well. So it steps up considerably. You can find out all the information on these on the Harvest Right website below. I've got a lot of information on the website and with videos and all kinds of stuff. So there's a ton of information out there. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the minutia and details. We're just going to go over what I got here and what it's going to do and what I'm going to do with it and what I've done with it so far. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I just wanted to show you how it came off the truck. It came FedEx freight. I ordered direct from Harvest Right, and one of the things they do tell you is to make sure you check it out before you let the shipping company leave. Make sure there's no damage. There was a box covering this, and everything was in good shape. It also comes with a second box that has the pump and the trays and some of the other accessories that come with the Harvest Right. So just make sure you check it out before you let the FedEx or the other freight company take off, because you don't want this thing to be damaged. It's a pain in the butt to send it back. Also, make sure you have your setup ready to go. This is on a nice table that will hold over 100 pounds that this thing weighs. It's stable, not going to move around. Also, make sure you know that this is going to be loud, kind of like an air conditioner running. That's the kind of noise this makes. Also, it'll put out some heat. So make sure you have it in a room that's quite cool. You can't stick this in your garage or on a patio or anything like that, because it won't work well if it's constant changing of temperatures. When you first get it, you're going to want to run the functionality test, and the manual will walk you through that. Then your first load will be, they tell you to run some bread through it, just so you can get used to how it's running and that they see everything's functioning well. And this was my bread test. Turned out great. Nothing like, freeze-dried bread. So, all right, guys, like I said, I got the medium size because I didn't really think I needed the capacity of a large. Plus, when you step up to the large, you actually need a dedicated outlet that's actually 120 volt or 20 watts or something. You need a better outlet, so you need to have like an electrician come in and install a special outlet when you step up to the large, just because it pulls a lot more electricity than the medium and the small. So with the medium, I really didn't need to worry about having that extra or a special outlet and spending $400 or so on an electrician to come out and wire that for me. So, and the capacity of this is actually decent for a family of 4. unless you're going to use this for a business, and there's people that do. So first of all, like I said, I'm going to kind of go over this a little bit and show you what comes with it. First of all, you do get these 3 very informational books with it. Of course, your owner's manual. Always make sure you read the owner's manual. There's a lot of information in here, and just from being on the Facebook groups for the last couple months about home freeze dryers, there's a lot of people that don't read this, that they ask questions on the Facebook groups all the time that they're right there in front of them in the manual. So you can actually find this online on the Harvest Right website as well. You can actually read it beforehand. And when you do order directly from them, they'll actually, when they submit or send you your shipping confirmation, it's got all this information on there and links. So you can actually get all this stuff before you even get it and read it and find out all the information you want. So I highly suggest you read these things all the way from cover to cover, because they can get a little intimidating, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of easy ways to fix that stuff. But make sure you read this stuff. It comes with this guide to freeze drying, and you can, like I said, you can find this on their website as well. Also videos and stuff that kind of gives you an idea of how you can use the freeze dryer for different things. And one of the things that I decided to do, one of the first things I did, was these little ice cream sandwiches. You can put those in the freeze dryer, and now they are shelf stable, won't melt, and they look just like they did in the box pretty much. And they're nice little snacks. They're dry, there's no doubt about it, and they're not cold, but it's a totally different experience than having a regular ice cream sandwich. People make, these are freeze-dried Skittles, and what happens is the freeze dryer actually changes the whole structure of these, and they actually become like little crispy, melt in your mouth nuggets instead of the Skittles that are chewy and it'll pull your teeth out. These kind of melt in your mouth. So there's all different kinds of things that people do. I did some little muffins and all that, but besides the normal stuff like vegetables and fruits and meats and all that kind of stuff, there's some really cool things you can do with it. So let's just go over a little bit what you get with this, and I'll show you some little tricks that you might want when you first get one, how to set it up. So let's go ahead and get a little closer. All right, guys, so one of the things I want to address right off the bat, when I ordered mine, I tried to find out how the sound was going to be, because this is in my office, and it's a standard bedroom, I would say, 12 by 12 dimension. And I had a mixed, from people online, mixed reviews. People, oh, it's not loud at all, to, oh, it's really, really loud. So I really couldn't gauge what it is. So just to give you an idea, it is pretty loud, and it's not from the pump. It does have a vacuum pump on here, because the way a home freeze dryer works is it actually has a vacuum pump that vacuums, freezes first. It freezes down to like a minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it vacuums the chamber, and then it slowly warms it up to like 130 degrees Fahrenheit, to where the water, it really doesn't dehydrate, it sublimates, so it just comes out without taking any of the nutritional value with it at all. So it's just a certain way that it actually pulls the water out using a vacuum and some really, really cold temperatures. But the sound of this is more like an outside air conditioning unit or a wall air conditioning unit. So if you are familiar with those sounds, that's pretty much what it is. It does have a vacuum pump. The vacuum pump adds a little bit to the noise, but to me, it's the noise of the compressor and all that on the refrigeration unit, on the unit itself, that makes it pretty loud. I would suggest, if you can put this in a room where you're not going to be most of the time, to do that. You don't want to have it outside if you have large temperature fluctuations, so you don't want it in a garage that's not air conditioning. You don't want it out on your deck, because you really need to keep this at room temperature or lower even. Sometimes it doesn't like that. One of the things that I discovered early on is that it really likes to have a fan blowing right here on the left side of the door into the coils, because it will, if it doesn't like the temperature of the room, it'll tell you up on the screen that there's a warm room warning, and it'll actually tell you it'll take longer for the process because the room's too warm. And where it's getting that information is down here by the coils of the refrigeration unit. So if you run a fan pointing right at it, and a lot of people do this, it actually will get rid of that warning for you, and it'll speed up the process. Another thing you got to understand too is if you have this in a smaller room, it does pump out a lot of heat. So this will, I think it increased the temperature of my room about 8 to 10 degrees, no problem, when I'm running this and I'm sitting in my office here. If I close my office door, it also gets a little bit warmer in here, and I'll have to usually open that door to get rid of that warm room warning. So that's it. I mean, I just make sure you understand that before you go ahead and buy it. Everything it pretty much runs itself, so it's not very complicated. You don't have to set things manually. It'll actually detect the amount of moisture that's in the food and all that kind of stuff, and it'll kind of run on its own. There are things that you can do. You can add extra drying time. If you pull out the trays and you find that they're not all completely dry, you can add extra dry time. Very easy. There's a lot of videos on there that will walk you through some of those little options on it, but it's very easy to do, to actually have this thing run by itself. So it comes with these 4 trays, and they're pretty solid stainless steel. One of the things you're gonna also want to know is that if you're doing anything that's wet, like I'm gonna be doing a bunch of strawberries here today, you're gonna want to put some parchment paper down on the tray so they don't stick. Because what happens is, if it's got a lot of moisture going in, it's going to stick to the pan, and then when it dries, it'll just create like a cement. So the sugars especially will create a cement. So if you put some parchment paper down, or they also sell some silicone pads, you're going to be a lot better off with something that's got a lot of sugar, a lot of moisture in it. So you got your little door here, and you just slide your pans in. So what happens here is you initially start this up. It's going to tell you that it's going to cool the chamber down a little bit before you put your food in. And then when you put your food in, it's going to tell you to close your drain valve. And where that is, it's on the left side here. You see that little drain here? That's where all the water comes out after you're done. So when you're done with you running a batch of whatever you're doing, it's going to give you the option to defrost the unit, and it's going to melt all the ice that's built up on the sides, and it's going to run out that drain. But you can't have a vacuum if that drain's open. So you got a little switch here to open and close your drain valve. So it's going to give you a warning to make sure you close your drain valve when you get it started. And then it's pretty much everything will be automatic until the end, and it'll give you the option for more dry time if you find that you need some. So it's really easy to operate. There's just some little things you need to know, like make sure you have a fan here if you're going to run it in a smaller room. Make sure you pay attention to your drain valve. Make sure you use some parchment paper or silicone if you're doing some really wet items. But other than that, it's pretty easy. I've done some pretty cool things so far, and I'm looking forward to doing some more. Like I said, it's something that if you're going to do it, make sure you understand it does get pretty loud. You can't have it outside or in a garage unless it's cool out there. The medium is probably the biggest one you're going to be able to get without having to install a separate or a different kind of electrical outlet and all that. So going forward, guys, I'm going to be doing some stuff with this. I'll be doing some videos, but showing you what I'm doing. But right now, that's all. I just wanted to kind of walk over this with you, walk through this, show you what it is. And I plan on doing some, like I said, some strawberries. I'm going to do some other fruits and vegetables and meats and chilies and all kinds of stuff like that, just to have a supply for, case of emergency stuff. I live in Florida where we have hurricanes and all that. So it's going to be something I'm going to play around with. There's all kinds of other things that people do to sell, like they do candy and stuff in here because it changes the whole structure of the candy, and people buy this stuff all the time. I really never heard of it until I started looking at buying one of these. But like I said, the Skittles and gummy bears and all kinds of stuff people put in here that turn out really, really different, and people buy them up and sell them out. So, so that's about it, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Check us out, follow us, and we'll be doing some more videos on this once I get through some stuff. I run it through the ringer, do some test cooks, or do some test batches on here, different stuff, so I can kind of tell you what works well, what doesn't work well personally. But so far so good. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you follow us on the Fire and Water Cooking podcast. I'm redoing the podcast. Actually going to be doing some podcasts on freeze drying here soon. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next Fire and Water Cooking video.